Hi, welcome to my complete guide on the Dahlia. The Dahlia aka Constance is our newest 5-star coming in version 3.8 of Honkai Star Rail. In this video, I'll be going through everything you need to know how to build and play her, covering her best Licorns, Relic sets, Planar Ornaments, teams, and many more. Before we start, I'll be giving away 2 supply passes / welcome moons to my subscribers at 8k subs, so make sure to subscribe. To start, how does a kit work? The Dahlia is a fire unit following the path of Nihility. Her skill does damage in blast and summons a zone for 3 of her turns. This zone increases all allies' break efficiency and converts toughness reduction to super break. Her ultimate does damage in AoE while inflicting will on all enemies. Will reduces defense and applies the weakness typing of herself and her dance partner. Her talent regenerates energy at battle start and designates the unit that started the combat or the highest break effect unit as a dance partner. She enables her dance partner's attacks to super break and launches a FUA whenever the partner attacks. Her technique deploys her skill zone and makes a damage that triggers the fight super break. For bonus traits abilities, the first increases break effect depending on her break effect to all allies once at the battle start and more times whenever she gets healed or shielded. The second one recovers a skill point for the first and every 2 FUAs afterwards. And the third increases speed to all allies that implant a weakness, with fire units also dealing more toughness reduction and regenerating energy. These are bonus stat boost, featuring break, effect rest, and speed, and for trace leveling priorities, simply focusing on talent first, then ultimate will suffice, as the skill and basic are completely useless. Overall, the Dahlia has a very interesting kit. Just like how we got Cypher for FUA teams, High Silence for DOT teams, we finally get an upgrade to Break in 3.x. Break was a special one as it plays off the fundamental mechanic of the game, which is the toughness bar, and that means that it has some massive pros and cons. However, one of the cons was what if the enemy is not weakness broken or cannot be weakness broken. The Dahlia addresses this with a skill zone, allowing units to deal super break damage despite the enemy's toughness still being up. This not only means that there will be no more downtime on super break team's damage, it also means super break can now be used with enemies even if they lock their weakness bar. This together with some incredible buffs and frequent toughness reduction through her frequent attacks, the Dahlia will be a very strong unit looking to bring the super break archetype in line with the strength of all other teams in the current meta. With a kit out of the way, here's how to build her. Starting with the Dahlia's best Licorns. Her best Licorns will of course begin with a signature Licorn. This increases break effect and increases break damage dealt to both dance partners, while also recovering a skill point after using ultimate. A very simple but a very strong Licorn that provides her most needed stat and a very rare break damage dealt increased to both herself and her dance partner. Not only that, it also recovers a skill point per ultimate, making her even more skill point positive, allowing for her to be even more comfortable to play. For alternatives, S5 Herder Store Licorn is a great option as it provides the highest break effect out of any other free-to-play options. And S5 Tutorial is also a great option as it leans more towards the pure supportive playstyle and allows for a very comfortable full uptime on ultimate. Other than that, S5 Resolution is a very strong option too if you do not already have a teammate using this Licorn, and S5 Armada being the other option if you cannot use S5 Herder Store. Do note, Resolution will require you to invest some stats into effect hit rate to ensure that you can apply the Licorn's debuff consistently. Speaking of, here are the Dahlia's best main and sub stats. Starting with a stat Breakpoints. The first goal is to get her to a comfortably high speed, so something like 160 and over is ideal. You don't have to reach that 160 outside of combat exactly, as that 30% speed boost from a direct major trace will help a lot for this stat, but reaching 160 will get you a very strong breakpoint where you can enter the battle very early into the action value, and after the 30% speed boost, reach over 200 speed for many turns in each cycle. After that, you want to reach a nice amount of break effect like 180 and over. as the Dahlia only really has 2 stats she's interested in, Getting as high as you can for these two is the most ideal situation. At 180, she's able to give a nice 93% break effect to her teammates while being high enough to show some potential as a sub DPS as well. Otherwise, getting a bit of defensive stats plus effect res will make her more comfortable to play, and for those running light currents that require effect hit rate like resolution, getting enough of it, like 6-7%, to make sure your light currents effect applies consistently is just as important. So our best main stats start with HP/defense body, speed boots, HP/defense orb, and break/energy rope. Body is HP or defense, as she does not really care for any of the other main stats, still sticking with defensive ones would be ideal. But effect hit rate is actually your best choice if you are using a light current that needs it. Boots is speed to help you reach that desired 160 plus. Orb is HP or defense, as similarly, the Dahlia does not really care for other main stats, and making sure you run one each will lead to the most optimal build, like a HP body with defense orb and vice versa. And rope is break or energy, completely dependent on what you want to get out of your Dahlia. For the standard supported playstyle, energy rope is recommended as it enables a full uptime on your ultimate. But for a more offensive playstyle, break rope can be used to provide more personal damage and more break effect buff to the team. However, when you're using break rope, you need to be more mindful of using your ultimate as you do not have full uptime. So using it only when your main DPS is in the main damage phase is the most optimal decision. For example, using it as Firefly/Rapper enters ultimate mode, or when Buhyu's talent is fully stacked up. So with her stats out of the way, here are the Dahlia's best relic sets and planar ornaments. Her best installed relic set will be the 4-piece Iron Cavalry. This provides break effect and more break damage bonus as break effect increases. Super break teams generally have everyone on the team doing a bit of damage since everyone builds a break effect and super break scales off break effect. So equipping her with a more offensive relic set can make use of a break effect to allow her to do some meaningful damage. However, the 250% threshold for the full potential of the set can be harder or easier for some depending on your teammates and light currents, so do keep that in mind. For other options, 4-piece Thief is a great option too, as it provides a high amount of break effect and some occasional energy if you manage to break with Dahlia. The energy is not consistent as you only break with Dahlia if you cannot break with your main DPS, but the 2-16% break effect is great to help you reach a high break effect, and of course, 2-16% break effect is also 2-piece, which is also very good, especially if you can find ones with super high speed sub stats. And one last option I want to suggest is 4-piece Eagle. As per usual, always a great choice for ultimate spamming speedster build. For planar ornaments, her best install will be Kalpagni. This provides speed, which she really likes, and break effect against fire weak enemies, which will be 100% of the time since she implants it. Pretty obviously, this is her best in slot, as it specifically provides the only 2 stats she wants. But Dahlia is also a great option as it provides a lot of break effect at 145 speed and over, which you should reach anyways. And any of the energy sets, including Panaconi, can be option 2 as well, especially if you are running it with 4-piece Eagle for a full supportive ultimate spamming playstyle. Moving on to the Dahlia's best Eidolons. Ivan provides talent super break damage increase to all allies now, with a further increase for the dance partner. Additionally, when the dance partner attacks, the first attack against this enemy will now do additional toughness damage. E2 decreases all type res of all enemies, and when enemies enter the field, inflict wilds. E3 and 5 are just trace levels. E4 increases hit count of her FUA, with it also now increasing damage taken by the enemies as well. And E6 now increases break effect for both dance partners, and when using FUA, advanced action of both dance partners as well. Overall, the Dahlia has some quite simple yet very strong Eidolons. E1 not only further increases your main DPS's damage, it increases everyone's, and as I mentioned before, in super break teams, everyone is a semi-sub DPS, so this means a lot of damage increase in actual gameplay. And in addition, The 25% fixed amount of toughness reduction, against most enemies, this seems like not that big of a deal. But against enemies that have super big toughness bars, like bosses or enemies in endgame game modes, this can actually be a huge chunk and can lead to a massive speed up of breaking their weaknesses. E2 is a very nice all-type res down, and E4 and E6 are both superb high-cost Eidolons. As for the age-old question of E1 versus S1, the winner this time is actually not quite as simple. To put it simply, both are incredible options and their values change depending on your teams. S1 has a very rare break damage down increase with break effect to make it easier to build and a skill point for SP hungry teams. So vertically invested main DPSs will really like S1. E1 provides insane buff for everyone and a unique 25% toughness reduction. This is much stronger when you have spread out your investments across your team, so horizontally invested super break teams will really like E1. Ultimately, it boils down to what kind of teams you have, so picking which one suits you the best will be the ideal situation. Last but not least, we move on to the Dahlia's best teammates and teams. First, let's address the elephant in the room. How good is Dahlia with the 3 main break DPSs? The answer is amazing. Putting everything aside, being able to deal super break while the enemy is not weakness broken already makes her the best in slot for all 3. But talking more specifically, Buhyu still wants to break the enemy for his talent, but the buffs she gives and a semi-removal of DPS downtime is still more valuable than what any other unit can give. Rappa similarly also wants to actually break the enemy. However, for pure fiction based units, being able to output at least most of your DPS even when the enemies are not weakness broken is super important, so that alone makes Dahlia worth it. And of course, Firefly loves her and Dahlia loves her back with that dirt major trace specific for fire units. Firefly doesn't really actually care about actually breaking and only purely cares about super break, so needless to say, Firefly will have a field day with her. But as for Firefly though, there are some specific speed tuning that you can do to align their turns and to avoid desync in Firefly's downtime. If you are worried about this, then I'm guessing you have done your fair share of research already about it, so I won't talk too much about it. But for those interested, don't worry, as long as your Dahlia ult when Firefly enters complete combustion state or play a full uptime ultimate playstyle, you should be completely fine. And for the speed aspect, just making sure your Dahlia is as fast as possible without sacrificing break effect a whole lot will do perfectly fine. Other than that, any other fire break based units will also enjoy her, so Himiko, Lingsha, Fugue, and Gallagher. So the best teams of the Dahlia will start with Firefly Break, featuring Firefly, the Dahlia, Fugue, and Lingsha. Fugue can be replaced with RMC, and Lingsha can be replaced with Gallagher. This team can go sustainless pretty easily as well, so replacing Lingsha with either RMC or Ron-Mei will be a great choice. Buhyu Break is next with Buhyu, the Dahlia, Fugue, and DHPT. This team is pretty inflexible as DHPT is needed to prevent Buhyu from dying and Fugue is needed for the extra toughness for easier talent stack. Rappa Break is also very strong as you would imagine with Rappa, the Dahlia, Fugue, and Lingsha. And for more niche options, Pure Fusion would be great for Himiko Break and Lingsha Break, with the Theater Trio being great for Himiko as well. So yeah, that does it for the Dahlia guide. To us, it might have seemed like a big surprise getting someone that was teased all the way back in the beginning of 2.0, but with how the beta cycles proceeded and how complete of a unit she came out in the first beta cycle, it seems like she was ready to be released and was just waiting for the right timing. Regardless, I guess the bigger issue at hand is the huge drought approaching with 4.0 being delayed. I don't particularly mind, but here's hoping that they add in more content like events in 3.8 to make up for the extended time.